Hello. It's your favorite apostates. I'm McKay.
I am Jordan.
I almost forgot my name. Also, my hair is kind of damp. So this is what you get today. Welcome, everybody, to our Friday special of Q&A. Jordan put up a kind of late last night poll on what you guys would like to know about us, and we are looking to answer your questions. Unfortunately, it wasn't up for like that long because today's Wednesday and we're filming this for Friday because we'll be gone on Friday. But don't be bitching because we're still here with you. So just kidding. If we miss your question, I'm sorry. We will do other. I mean, this is the second Q&A that we've done recently.
Yeah.
So don't worry. We are always open to answering your questions. Before we get to that, we have our model Mormon of the week that we have to talk about. I swear to God, every week I'm like, damn it, we're not going to have a model Mormon of the week. And usually that same day that I'm worrying about it, we are blessed with a model Mormon of the week like that same day. So thank you. Our model Mormon of the week comment comes from Carmen this week, and I'm really cooling on blurring like their last names or whatever because honestly, I've said this so many times. Don't make your username your full name, and her name is innocuous enough that I probably wouldn't be able to find her on Facebook. But come on. I'm cooling on doing that. Sorry. Anyway, this one had two questions, and I will include on our back end comments. You can see which video it was commented on. So just for a little context, the first comment, Carmen writes, so what's the difference between all other family vloggers who expose their children on social media and a Mormon family vlogger? Oh, is it because they're Mormon and... They're your typical.
They spelled cuz, C-U-Z.
Cuz. Is it because they are Mormon and they are your typical target group to judge because you used to be Mormon? I didn't look Carmen up at all, but I'm kind of guessing that she's a Mormon because.
Are you feeling targeted, Carmen?
Yeah. Usually when people are defending Mormons, they will qualify it just so you know they're not Mormon.
What did I say to you last night?
What?
Projection is a mirror.
Oh, okay. So that was on the Not Enough Nelson's one. Carmen decided to project her target onto herself, apparently.
She family vlogging?
She feels targeted. Or she's a Mormon, or both, you know. The next one was an old video.
Like a really old video.
So she probably was digging. This definitely probably would not have been. Definitely, probably.
I don't understand why these people are.
I don't think it would have been suggested.
Why do you have this time? Like if I don't like somebody, I just don't watch your shit. Like that's simple for me.
The time difference, 3 hours and 2 hours.
Oh my God!
Did she come back?
Did you watch some ads? Come on.
So this one, this was an old frequently asked questions about us. Like probably one of our first videos. I see a picture of your child on your outro. Why are you exploiting him without permission? Bitch, did you watch? Oh, really, Carmen? You watched that whole Not Enough Nelson's video where they exploited their adoptive daughter's privacy in a public space and then shared it on YouTube, and you're going to compare that to a very small picture of my son
in our intro,
in our outro. Let me ask you, Carmen, what else do you know about my son? I think we have alluded to the fact that he recently had a birthday. What else do you know about my son? I don't think that's exploitation. So maybe back off.
I think you need to look up what exploiting means before you start throwing out accusations, because that's not what exploiting is. We are not exploiting our son for money.
If you want to see him on camera, go ahead and throw a time code in there about a time when we're exploiting our son's story.
Let me know when that happens.
I do know one small, before we had a TikTok compilation. Go ahead and watch it. I don't care.
Oh yeah, there is
where
one
he
little
was on camera for just a second, but that video is not monetized, so don't worry about it.
We're not making money off of it, so
yeah. So don't worry about that. That was the only time. That was kind of an oversight, but
shut the fuck up, Carmen. That's the words I have for you.
Thank you to our Model Mormon of the Week for giving us some content. Anyway, shall we move on to some Q&As? I feel like I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry.
Let's do it.
All right. Jordan's going to answer more questions because I've been hogging the mic, apparently. Okay. Awesome questions from a lot of people. We're just going to go through a bunch of these real quick.
We're not going to go super in depth on these. We're kind of going to go like rapid fire-ish.
Unless we need to.
Unless we need to elaborate, which obviously we will because, you know.
Yeah, some of them are pretty simple.
We don't shut up. Okay.
Straightforward. Yeah, somebody asked us to stop talking. So.
Do you support the LGBTQ community? I answered this last night, but that's an absolutely yes, we do.
A resounding, vociferous yes.
We do what we can to, like if you've watched our videos, we called out Christian idiots who are apparently...
And Mormon
friends
idiot.
with the homosexuals,
Nate.
So yeah, that's a definite yes. What is your biggest pet peeves, most unpopular opinion?
She also asks, Michaela also asks, how are we?
We're great.
We're great, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know, pet peeve / most unpopular opinion. What's your pet peeve?
I don't know, but I know your most unpopular opinion.
Which is?
It has to do with food.
Oh, yeah. Ranch is disgusting. Don't come at me with that. Not even on a salad. There's no practical use for ranch. Also,
like if
lemon is... Oh, go ahead.
If I put ranch on anything...
It's gross.
Or if I, like, threaten to touch him with it, he'll, like, freak out. Like, it's not just, like, a hate for ranch. It's, like, a phobia, almost.
Almost, yeah. Also, lemons are the inferior citrus. Limes are so much better. Anyway.
I don't know what unpopular opinions I have. I don't really ever think of them as unpopular because I just don't care what other people think about them. So True. I don't know if they're truly unpopular or not. Pet peeves. I don't even know. I'll have to think about that one.
When I push my shin against your leg.
Oh my God.
I have my ankle like pops if I
and he always
flex my toes the right way.
Putting it next to me, like when
That's
we're trying to go to sleep.
I fall asleep.
Oh my gosh, Jeez. It's so gross. Okay.
How
are you so awesome, Nikki? You're so awesome.
That's a lie. Anyway, moving on.
Shut up. In the Mormon faith, are females encouraged to get degrees and careers to the same extent males are? Yes and no.
Not explicitly like men are.
They're encouraged to go to, like, girls are encouraged to go to BYU, but for a majority of the time, it's more like you go to BYU so you can meet someone so you can get married.
Yeah.
And they're not so interested in really finishing a degree as they are just meeting someone to get married, but that's not all of them. So.
Yeah. It's outlined in a lot of the church teachings that women are supposed to be taking care of the kids. So if they have a career, that will get in the way of that.
And then Don asks, would you ever make YouTube your full-time job? I hesitate to do that.
I would love to. I love doing YouTube, but Jordan has a career set up for her.
I would never, like, let me put it this way. I would never want to rely on YouTube solely for income.
That would be a little scary.
That's a little sketchy. So, like, I wouldn't mind spending a ton of time on YouTube. I mean, I feel like we already do. I wouldn't mind spending a ton of time on it as long as it's not, like, our primary or our only source of income. Like, that YouTube is unstable. Like, you can't count on it to be the same. You can't count on it to, I mean, there's ebbs and flows. And so as far as stability goes, that kind of makes me nervous.
So, yeah.
Thanks, Don.
When was the first time each of you knew the Mormon church was not right?
I think it happens, like, in small snippets over the years. Like, even from being kids, I think some things just happen and it just, like, doesn't sit with you.
Yeah.
And you're like, that just doesn't sit right. Like, that just seems off. But indoctrination is so deep that, you know, you kind of just are like, that's weird, keep going. That's weird. And then eventually all those weird things add up.
Yeah. I think I noticed a couple other questions that related to that, so we'll leave it there for now. What are your favorite animals? My favorite animal is the three-toed sloth, specifically.
My favorite is wolves, but a lot of you know that already.
Loves wolves, yeah. Okay, great questions. Do you want to do this one?
Do you think if you were not raised Mormon, you would have waited later in life to have kids? Yes, I do.
I do too. We love our son.
We love our son, and even with the horror that was my pregnancy and postpartum and my birth, even with all of that, I would still do it all over again to know that we could get our son, but I would have liked to have waited longer. Because we're just, we're young. I was 23 when we had our son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 23. So it's just, you don't know much in your 20s, okay? You're kind of stupid still. My brain isn't even fully developed, and I have a 1-year-old. Not to say that I'm a terrible parent by any stretch of the imagination, but I just would have liked to have done some other things before having our son.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's an interesting dynamic. On the other hand, it is nice because, I'll only be 40 by the time our son is in high school. So
yeah,
that's pretty nice.
It is nice because most of our friends, there's a few around us that are starting to have kids now, but for the most part,
my core friends, one just got married, one's about to get married, and one's single. I'm the only one who has any kids.
Yeah.
So anyway, on to the next one. Great question.
Thanks, Misty.
Okay. What are some of your favorite musicians or bands? I'll let Jordan go first on this one.
Favorites. Let's see. Beyonce always takes number one.
I am Beyonce always.
Beyonce, I have been obsessed with since I was a kid. I used to have all of her CDs, and I had a little Hello Kitty CD player, a pink Hello Kitty CD player, boombox type thing, and I would play all her songs. And I think I started listening to her in 3rd grade. And my mom would buy me her CDs, but then she would tell me that I had to skip certain numbers on the CD because they were inappropriate. And then when my mom wasn't around, I would listen to the inappropriate songs.
On a low volume.
Shocker.
Whoa.
Beyonce, I had a huge emo phase. I still love my emo bands. I've seen Panic at the Disco 5 or 6 times in concert. I'm a Brendan Urie lover. Yeah. I think that
MCR.
encompasses.
MCR.
Yeah. I saw My Chemical Romance before they split.
Yeah. My tastes are... I do like everything that Jordan just said. I like all those bands. Beyonce. I love me some Lemonade, That's a great album. I have a whole, if you've never noticed, I have a whole crate of records back there that I collect. My favorites right now, all-time favorite, Black Dahlia Murder, number 1. Then I'm also listening to things. I'm really excited. There's a new Full of Hell album that was just announced yesterday. I'm really big on Disentomb and Vulvodynia and trying to think of other ones that I've been listening to. Organectomy. Just
wholesome
bands that nobody will listen to, but there you go. You have it right there. So thank you for the question. I was excited about that question because I like to talk about music.
Talking about the temple, did any particular ritual make you uncomfortable? All of them. Really, anything done in the temple is ritualistic, and it's icky, and it's culty, and it's weird, and it makes lots of people uncomfortable. And I am aware of a lot of Mormons that go once and then never go again because it's so weird. But yeah, temple is just a weird experience on the whole.
It's really hard. Yeah, and I didn't expressly notice anything because I was too focused on just going on my mission. So, but the 4th sign of the Melchizedek priesthood, the 2nd token sign or whatever it's called, where you raise your hand above your head and then slowly lower them while you saying, "Oh God, hear the words of my mouth," 3 times repeated. That's, the whole room is chanting. It's weird. Big pass. Other part to this question: once you left, did you choose to break away from your faith in Christ? We are still deconstructing that idea. I'm still open to the idea that none of that is necessary, but yeah. So there you have it. I wanted to focus more on the temple situation of that. So
thanks, Diane. Amberly asks, I'm an ex-Mormon as well. Would you recommend getting re-baptized? I am going to go like a little bit of therapy-ness on you and say only you can answer that question.
There you go.
I personally would not get rebaptized, but McKay and I's journey is probably very different than yours. We might have some similarities, but only you can decide whether that's your truth, the path that you want to go down.
And I would even go as far as like a lot of, well, Josh, shut up. He's like, baptism's not necessary. So there's that. And then if you do still believe that getting baptized is necessary, why wouldn't the Mormon baptism count? Like, the Mormons are the most strict when it comes to how you're supposed to be baptized and everything. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would kind of cover all of the
bases,
all your bases. So great question.
Okay, Maddie, do you have any advice for deconstruction of faith and how to go about that? We kind of talk about that a lot in varying videos. So I think my biggest piece of advice is to be gentle and patient with yourself. We talk a lot about how deconstruction is similar to the grieving process. And so it's normal to go through the stages of grief as you deconstruct your belief system. My biggest piece of advice for dealing with deconstruction, if you are able, is to go to therapy. It's probably the thing that's benefited me the most. But yeah, it's going to be different for everybody. Like, there's a lot of people who deconstruct who like to throw themselves into all the education about the particular group that they were involved in, so they know everything that they were taught that was wrong. Like, some people full-fledged dive into that, and we did that for a minute. And so some people are comfortable doing that. Some people just want to like put it in a box and not deal with it. And I think at some point, for at least temporarily, that's fine too. But yeah. Yeah,
I feel like the thing that's helped me the most is kind of putting myself into a framework where I can allow there to be room for the thought that there may not exist, like, be an existent absolute truth. Like, ambiguity is okay. So that's really helped me. And if you never find what you're looking for, that's okay too. Like, in my opinion. But we always want to find what we're looking for, and sometimes it just doesn't happen, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Well, sometimes you have to adjust your expectations of what you're looking for. Like, or is what you're looking for based in like what society has taught you need to be looking for to feel fulfilled?
Yeah, or is it something that's born of you?
Or it's something that's truly yours. Yeah. Or it's something that needs tweaking or adjusting.
That's a great point.
Okay. Cara. Our favorite Cara.
Our resident Australian.
Do you have any ideas or plans to take our YouTube channel in any other directions? I don't really know. That's a good question.
This question is predicated on the idea that we are planners.
Yeah, true.
Which we do not.
No, we kind of just go with the flow, and we try to let you guys dictate what we respond to, what we react to, what we talk about. Yeah. So yeah, we don't have any like solid directions or anything.
Not at the moment.
We just kind of roll with the...
We're just vibing. So, yeah. Thank you, Cara. Now we have Sarah. No, just kidding. Sarah.
How did you guys approach each other when you started questioning your faith? I feel like McKay and I always had a strong enough relationship that when we really got down to the nitty-gritty of do we really want to be Mormon anymore, it wasn't really an issue.
Yeah. It was usually a conversation that was approached at like 1 a.m. when we were just both laying there and could tell the other one was awake thinking about something. So,
yeah. That happened a lot.
It was pretty fun. Cody. Do you plan to help others see the light and help them to get out of organized religion? You're doing great work on YouTube, but what else could you do? I don't know what else we could do. I mean, we have a decent bank of videos on TikTok that talk all about Mormonism and the fallacies and inconsistencies that have to do with Mormonism.
I don't feel comfortable like taking on all religion as a whole. Like
definitely
I feel
not.
comfortable taking on Mormonism because we were part of it and we were part of it for most of our lives, and so we know it like the back of our hand, and we have lived experiences within Mormonism, whereas I don't have lived experiences within another religion except for a short stint in a non-denominational Christian church when I was a kid. But beyond that, like, and my whole thing right now is learning that the only person I can control is myself. And as soon as I can let go of trying to get other people to do what I want them to do, life will be a whole lot easier. So like our goal isn't to get people to leave necessarily. Our goal is to get people to think. Like there's abuse and oppression and tons of nastiness going on in the church. And so if we present that to people, it leaves them the opportunity to do what they will with that information. We're not like campaigning to get people to leave necessarily. I want people to make the choice that's best for them, and I can't tell them what that is.
Yeah. Plus, when you're indoctrinated, even if you stumble upon our stuff, if you're not already on your way out, it's not going to phase you.
Right. I would have said this is like all a work of Satan. So welcome to Satan's Ponzi scheme, everyone.
Welcome to Satan's Ponzi scheme. Thanks, Cody. What do you find most rewarding about your channel / online presence?
Most rewarding, probably the community, like getting to know all of you guys, and so many of you relate, and so many of you have had so many similar experiences. It's really affirming to know like that we're not alone in these feelings. We're not alone in this process. Yeah.
Oh, I love like hopping on the Discord or reading the comments and people just being so affirming and everything like that and helpful toward other people. And that's amazing. So I love that. I do hate when people are like, oh my God, you guys are famous. That's gross. No, I don't think that's true. I just like to be a person.
Did your open-minded acceptance of various communities precede leaving the church, or were you always supportive of feminism, LGBTQIA+, etc. ideals? I was always supportive of feminism and the LGBTQ+ community, and that's, if you've watched some of our videos, you know that's a huge part of why I struggled with the church, because, you know, I felt that I belonged with these movements, especially feminism, and that's not really compatible with the church, and so those were always big struggle points for me.
All of those things, if you asked me 10 years ago, I would not have been supportive of. Those came from deconstruction of conservatism that I was really deep in from just my family. So those preceded my problems with the church, and that all was kind of set in motion because of where I served my mission. So thanks, Mormonism, for getting me out of Mormonism.
McKay, have you reached a conclusion on your septum piercing pondering?
The one aspect that I failed to consider in getting a piercing that dangles from my septum is that my son likes to grab. So I think I'm going to forego it for the time being.
That's why neither of us will do any. That's why I won't do anything with my nose anytime soon.
Yeah, it'll be a little while before I do that. So thank you, everybody. I noticed all of your comments for the support, but yeah, I think I'm going to have to wait on that one.
Your favorite books to read?
The Book of Mormon.
Ew.
Psych!
I am a huge reader. I'm a speed reader. So I go through books super fast.
Not really, because she's usually reading like 4 at a time.
I have some ADHD, OCD issues, so I usually read 4 at a time. But nonetheless, there's a lot that I'm reading that's like super helpful right now. But favorites, Untamed by Glennon Doyle was huge for me in leaving the church. That has to be one of my favorites of all time. Looking at Christ and Christianity from a different perspective. If you've read The Shack, that was really big for me for a long time. What else have I read lately? I'm currently reading The Gift of Therapy, and that's a great book if you're looking to, like, if you're going into your MSW or counseling. There's just so many. Like, I've read so many books over the years, it's hard to, like, pick out favorites.
Yeah. I'm not a big book reader because, I don't know. The love just wasn't instilled in me, I guess, so. Anyway, great question.
Do you think Jimmy Snow has reinvigorated his atheist content in part due to you guys gaining traction?
I do not think that we have any sort of influence on anybody else.
I would be honored if he gave one shit about who we are because, you know, he's got a decent sized platform. So if he was even a minor way influenced by what we were doing, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
We are part of a larger wave of ex-Mormons and people who are gaining traction on, like, TikTok. So I think that would be more why he would be doing that.
Misty, how did you get into tarot cards? So I got into tarot because my mom told me that they were of the devil. And so she had me legit so terrified of tarot cards. So when I left the church, I started venturing into, like, astrology and crystals and things. And I was like, maybe I'll venture into tarot just and see what happens. And so I was so terrified that I was going to, like, summon a demon or, like, get an energy attachment or something weird. And so I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to do it. And so I started doing tarot, and it ended up being super helpful for me. And nothing happened. I didn't summon any demons. I didn't lose the light in my eyes.
Damn it. Are you telling me we could have summoned some demons?
I do like tarot I don't do predictive tarot. Like, I don't look at tarot, like, for the future. I do, like, tarot in the now and for, like, self-reflective purposes. There's actually a lot of therapists who are getting into doing tarot in their practices as a good self-reflection and evaluation tool. So, yeah, the world of tarot, it's expanding.
So awesome. Kylo, like Kylo Ren? That's dope. Will you be going on Mormon Stories podcast, or did I miss that episode? Thanks for being awesome. We have not been on Mormon Stories podcast, and we're not, like, actively trying to get on Mormon Stories. We have our own YouTube thing. There are a lot of ex-Mormon type people who need their story to be told, and they have no platform to tell it on, so we would rather them be the subjects of that.
We would accept an invitation, but we're not, like, chomping at the bit to get one. Like,
Champing. Horses champ at the bit.
Whatever. You know what I meant.
That's a 30 Rock reference.
Anyway, I threw off my chain of thought.
We're not champing at the bit.
Shut
but
up.
we would wholeheartedly accept. So if John or Kara...
Throwing me off. Stop.
Wow, that was abusive.
Yeah. I have mad respect for both John and Kara. I went to lunch with Kara probably like a month or two ago when she was just getting started on Mormon Stories. She's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
This may be too personal to ask, but what was your postpartum psychosis like? Sounds awful, and I'm so sorry you went through so much.
So postpartum psychosis can kind of be different for everyone, but it's basically grounded in hallucinations. And so some people have visual hallucinations. I had minor visual hallucinations. Like, I would see, like, shadows and things that weren't actually there during psychosis. But most of my hallucinations during postpartum psychosis were auditory. And so I heard things and voices that weren't actually there. And it's all kind of impending doom-ish, and it's rooted in, like, OCD and anxiety and depression, obviously, but psychosis makes you think things that are happening, like, things are happening and it's really real even though it's really not. And so I thought that my son was constantly in immediate danger of something beyond my control, and so I spent like 90% probably 99% of my time trying to make sure to keep him alive. And I didn't really know what I was protecting him from, but I knew he was in danger, and the voices were telling me that he was in extreme danger. So that's kind of how it went for me. Some people experience more of the visual, and a lot of people experience with postpartum psychosis, they start kind of going into like extreme religious beliefs sometimes, which is not, I didn't experience that, but yeah, postpartum psychosis was probably one of the worst things next to my birth that I experienced.
Not fun at all. So thank you for your question. Yeah, it's good to hear Jordan talk about that.
Not fun at all.
Not fun at all. Outro, what are you talking? Okay, next question.
I grew up atheist but lived in a small rural town in Montana where the majority of people were some kind of Christian or were Mormon, and so were all my friends. Do you think I was seen as a potential convert to the people around me, or was it more likely that I would have been considered a lost cause? I don't think anybody's a lost cause to the Mormons unless you're an apostate like us.
Seriously? Well, even then, that might be a little bit debatable.
Even then, yeah. They look at everybody as a potential convert unless you're like a Satanist.
So, yeah.
So,
They're
unless you're part of
always,
Satan's
yeah.
Ponzi scheme.
Oh, they love to share stories of people who have like a billion tattoos and look at this guy, he got baptized. So, if anything, you would have been like the trophy convert.
Yeah.
If they had gotten you, so to speak.
What's your take, if you have any, on the current Jimmy Snow situation? I have never watched a Jimmy Snow video, and I have no idea what's going on with him. I've heard like mumblings of things, but I don't have enough information to comment, so I will not.
Same. I know this is a silly question, but is there anything positive you can take away from your experience at the Mormon church?
I think our relationship, because I don't think we would have got together without the premise of
Hell yeah.
Mormonism.
The pretext of me coming home from a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being together. But
Yeah.
other than that, there's nothing Mormon theology-wise that is a positive takeaway, really. So, not really. I think that answer has evolved a little bit over time.
What were the reactions of your family and friends when you all kicked Mormonism to the curb versus how they feel now? I don't really feel like it's changed that much.
It's hard to say. I used this in a comment the other day. I feel like we're kind of in the poker face phase of things, where if they have feelings that are strong, they won't say anything.
Yeah. At least not to our faces.
Yeah,
you can
not
talk
to our
about
faces.
it with other people and amongst themselves.
Yeah,
but
if you've seen our TikTok recently.
you know that.
Anyway, Jordan, what do you most look forward to in your clinical rotations?
So I start clinical in
3 weeks?
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
2 or 3?
I'm super excited. I'm working at a great hospital that's like nationally like recognized for being amazing. And so I guess I'm just looking forward to jumping right in and finally getting to put to practice everything that I'm working on and learning, and to be to the point where like it's nice with the master's degree. It's only 2 years of my life instead of a bachelor's degree. But yeah, so I'm just looking forward to finally being able to jump in and get started on this thing.
Yeah. McKay, what's your favorite / least favorite part of being a stay-at-home dad, and do you have any plans to continue your education as well? Right now, we're just focused on getting Jordan through school, so I'm just going to keep it on hold. My favorite thing about being a stay-at-home dad right now is not having to go into a manual labor job, which is all I have worked for the past, like, too many years of my working time. So, honestly, those jobs I hated, and this is so much better. So, it's nice to do YouTube, do our little, our Etsy shop, shout out, Happy Brain Collective, and just being able to raise my son, so that's nice.
Jordan had mentioned she was a special needs teacher. Does she have a teaching degree? What made her want to change careers? I do have a teaching degree. I have a bachelor's degree in special education from the University of Utah. I loved teaching when I first got into the field. I started working with people with disabilities when I was in junior high as like a peer tutor. And that's where I fell in love with the job. So that's why I went into it, and I started in a severe behavior unit when I graduated. So I was working with students with severe behaviors, like physically dangerous behaviors. So that's kind of where I started. So I burned out really fast because working in that kind of environment, it's dangerous. You have to, it's just a lot. It's a lot. And then I eventually moved out of that into a more mild disability setting. But the politics of teaching were obnoxious and painful to me. And so I was kind of thinking I needed to pursue something else that made me feel a little bit better about the difference that I was making, which kind of led me to social work. So, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you got out at a good time because the politics have just gotten so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
The fucking critical race theory stuff going on right now is just...
Like, I was teaching during the start of COVID.
2.0.
I was teaching when COVID, started in the United States in March. And it was the most chaotic thing I have probably ever experienced in a professional setting, because we would show up to work one day and be like, okay, here's what we're doing. We're going to split kids. One's coming one day, one's coming the next day. And then I would literally get an email from my principal hours later and be like, nope, nobody's coming to school. You're working from home. Here's what you're doing. Like, it would change on an hourly basis. Like, I felt so bad for my principal at the time because nobody knew what was going on. Like, we were right at the beginning of this pandemic. Vaccines were not a thing at the time, and nobody knew what the hell to do. So, yeah, I was teaching right at that time, and by the end of that, I was like,
I'm out.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you.
All right.
I do miss my kids, though. I loved my students.
We just recently saw one the other day. He didn't even recognize her.
No. Well, to be fair, I was
when-
majorly
yeah.
pregnant when he saw me last.
Yeah.
But
All right. We'll make this one the last one. Kristen asked, when did you guys realize you were in love? I want to hear Jordan's perspective first.
no, I want to hear your
Okay.
perspective.
Well, I
first.
remember when I told Jordan that I loved her, I was going to school at BYU, Idaho at the time, and I would come home, come home. Basically. I would come down to Utah every weekend if I could, if not every other. I think every other was the longest time.
Yeah.
We would be apart. And it was probably in June or something of that year. I came down and I brought her a little bead bracelet. It was like a long distance type bracelet. This is so stupid. But, it was all purple with one different color, and mine was the inverse of it. I think mine was black and yours was white or something like that. One white bead. Mm-hmm. And then I told her I loved her then. And then I lost that bracelet at a Day to Remember show. I was pretty pissed, but
I think I have it somewhere.
you do. I've seen it recently. I don't remember where.
Okay. I was going to say, I know I still have it. I think I was pretty solid in, to be honest, the first time McKay ever came out to see me, I was pretty solidified.
We've been talking for a little while.
We have been. Yeah. And the first few visits just solidified what I already knew. So yeah, I was pretty solid, and then I thought I needed to go to the temple for the Lord to confirm what I had
This
already
is the
known.
kind of bullshit that you do when you're indoctrinated. You're like, I need to go to the temple to make sure that what I know is right is actually the right thing.
That's so stupid.
Just
We both
makes you
did it.
doubt yourself. It's so sad.
But yeah.
Anyway, that's our story there. That's the morsel about us that you'll get for today.
Abbreviated
So,
version.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for the questions that you submitted. They were great questions. And thank you if you made it to the end for sticking with us. It's been a fun time recording this, and we'll make sure we give a little more heads up the next time we do a Q&A. This
So
is
if we
kind of
didn't
last
get to your
minute.
question, do not fret.
Do not fret. We will be around. If you're you have a burning question that needs to get answered, throw it or go into Discord and ask us. At me. Yeah. I will respond to you if you at me on Discord. So, so check that out.
Follow us on social media.
Our social media at Jordan and McKay on Instagram and TikTok. hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Hit the like button too, because it just helps us out a little more. We are on Patreon. You can leave us we need to go through our Ko-Fi, coffee, whatever donations and thank people for that. I've noticed recently that there have been people who have been donating to that, so thank you. Thank you to our patrons. Check out our Etsy store, Happy Brain Collective on Etsy. We link it in the
launch
description.
coming soon.
Yeah, keep your eyes out for that. We'll probably announce it on YouTube as well. But other than that, have a great day, and we will see you next time.